Good morning and welcome to the Women Fantasy Authors YouTube channel. I'm your host, Janet Hanker, and my guest today is Arlo Graves. Hi, Arlo.
Hi, thank you so much for having
Yeah,
me.
I'm so glad that you're here. Now, Arlo and I met at BayCon in July, and I spotted her from across the room signing books at a table. And the minute I spotted her book cover, I went, "Oh, I think she is writing Wierd West." Yes, thank you for sharing that. So I went over because I'm a huge fan of Wierd West, and of course, we started talking about the book. And I think we need to, based on the image on your cover. I'd like to start out by talking about the long-barreled revolver named the Black Rose.
Okay,
So where you've got the image on the book cover, and so she's an
do.
integral part of the story. So tell us a little bit about, we need to get through this without giving away spoilers, but tell us a little bit about her.
So the idea started when I was 17. I had started, this is so silly. Every time I tell this, it seems sillier, but I love it. I was obsessed with the movie Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman, but also the movie Tombstone. And in Tombstone, the Kurt Russell character, Wyatt Earp, he had a Colt 45 buntline special, which is a real gun from the Old West. It's a basically a Colt Peacemaker with a very long barrel. And I wrote 20 pages of this fan fiction with this magical revolver called the Black Rose.
Mm.
And my dad loved it for some unknown reason. But for my 18th birthday, he had the gun made for me. And so she's the
Uh,
Colt Peacemaker, and the
that's
buntline barrel, I don't know if you can see it, but it's actually like it says buntline on it.
okay. Yeah, I mean, that's a remarkable piece. So that was a custom piece that was
Yeah,
made
so
for you.
yeah, so she's not like one of the historical buntlines,
Okay.
but I mean, essentially she's the same thing, just she wasn't one of the historical pieces. He had her kind of put together for me, and she's beautiful and shoots really well. Um,
Okay.
but so I didn't have a story. He's been asking me for 20 years, when are you going to write the
Mm,
story about the Black Rose? And he really wanted the gun to be a character. And it just felt so silly to me, like so dumb, like the origin point of the story.
uh-huh.
Van Helsing goes to the Wild West. I'm like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. But then I met another author, and she said, nothing is ever too silly, too dumb, too stupid. Just frame it like it's dead serious.
Hmm.
And then in 2020, my parents saved our house in the fire, the CZU lightning fire. And I mean, my
Mm.
dad stood there. He was 70 years old, and he held a fire hose over his
Oh,
shoulder,
wow.
raining water onto our cabin. And I'm like, I need to do something for him. Like, I need to get him something that no one else can. And that's how the Black Rose book got written.
Yeah, that's remarkable. And I'm so glad that he persisted because it's what you said is really good writing advice too. If there's any writers watching this about taking it seriously, because nothing is too weird or outlandish, especially when we're writing fantasy and speculative fiction. Um, I was fascinated about the concept of mechanical things becoming awakened or gaining consciousness over time and use. Um, how has this reality shaped the world of where we find the Black Rose? What does that world
Well,
look like?
without giving too much away,
Yeah.
I was really pulling from sort of more of like a Nordic mythology version of animism, and kind of taking a lot of liberties with it. But my core idea was the more you interact with an object, the more sentience or soul it acquires. I was really thinking about like how we have our stuffed animals, and they kind of
Mm,
acquire like a life over time, so to speak. Or in I am going to get the facts wrong on this, but in Japan, they had a mass funeral, I believe, for robotic dogs that could no longer be updated. And it just like fascinated me. And so in the world of the story, I'm working with this idea that humans could very potentially live in harmony with their objects. Like there's nothing inherently oh, maybe I'm going to go into spoiler territory, but
Yeah, but yeah,
I guess
it's
like it's in this world, it's pretty horrifying for the people who are there because they're losing control over their creations. And you can only use this machine so long before it becomes its own individual, more or less. And so people ask me, they're like, what time is this book taking place? Like, we know it's the Old West, but like, when is it taking place? And again, without trying to talk around spoilers and it's not, this part isn't really important to the book itself, but I like to tell them, well, it's the Old West, but we don't know how long. Like, how long have they been in the Old West? We don't really know.
right. Kind of an alternate reality. Yeah. And some interesting metaphors too, that the times we find ourselves living with as well, which gives it
Yeah.
a whole nother layer. So um, I the story we're talking about Old West, and you were fascinated with Wyatt Earp, guns, etc. The story of the OK Corral and Wyatt Earp takes on a really different meaning inside this story. So tell us about this mythical Wyatt Earp that's in the story.
All right. So again, I have to think about how to
Yeah, I
talk myself
know.
around the spoilers because
No,
there
I'm
is a
asking you some tough questions because
there.
but it's
Yeah.
okay to it's okay to say what he was doing in this world. Yeah, in
Okay.
your story. Yeah.
So yeah, so going into the creation of that, I did do a ton of reading about like the real Wyatt Earp, and then I watched Tombstone several times because that's like a very fictitious, theatrical Wyatt Earp. Like to me, the movie Tombstone almost plays out like it's a stage play.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's the case. That's just this is how it kind of feels for me. And the events of the OK Corral, which don't actually take place at the OK Corral. They're kind of like down the street in real life, but they kind of mark the end of the Old West, like symbolically in real life in our world.
Mm-hmm.
And for the story, I wanted them to be a pivotal point. Like in our world, it's the end of the Old West. So what could it be in this other world where they're obviously still in the Old West? And who was Wyatt Earp? Um, in actuality in the story, and then who has he become mythologically. And so when we meet the main character
Oh,
of the
sorry.
book, he immediately goes to this church, and Wyatt Earp is a saint. And he has this demonic, giant, ridiculously long revolver
Yeah.
that is, depending on the story, potentially a demon from hell that he's controlling to then fight other demons from hell. But he's
Yeah.
basically become a religious icon in the
I,
book.
I, it's interesting because I've also been very fascinated with Old West stories, and I don't know why. Maybe because as a child, my family traveled to ghost towns. Living in California and going to ghost towns in the Western United States, and I was always fascinated by the Old West and how it must have been living in those times. So I think that's kind of why the story spoke to me so much, and how intriguing it was to see how you've changed it into this world that's so different, yet it has trappings of those old stories. That was really interesting to me. We have to talk about silver now. The metal
Okay.
silver is very prevalent in the story, and it literally floods from the mines, and the Black Rose actually shoots silver. So how is this awakened Black Rose tied to the magic of the silver? It obviously has magic and power. So how is that all tied together?
So in the world building, I kind of go like hard world building, soft world building at the same time. I can't pick a lane. I go for
It,
both.
yeah.
But I, like you, also live in California, and my parents took me to so many ghost towns when I was young. And we went to old silver mines and places that had kind of grown up because of the silver, or gold or whatever they were doing at the time. But so silver in the story and the gun and the machines coming to life and the silver are linked. And the silver can be both a life force, but it's also like a force of death.
Hmm.
It can kill the machines. And a machine being able to use the silver itself is more or less unheard of, except for the Black
The
Rose.
Black
And
Rose.
I think that's even on the cover of the book, like only one revolver shoots silver. So she's the only gun who can shoot silver because silver is just this crazy, wild, angry force. And it wasn't so aggressive the first time I wrote the book, but then I went to Goldfield and Rhyolite and I went to some of the silver mines out there in
Oh, right.
Nevada. And the like, I looked at how the landscape had been physically changed by the
Wow.
mines. And then like there's still feral burrows living out there that the miners had like brought to use in the mines. And then when the mining dried up, they just let them go. And so their ancestors are still just wandering around out there. And it's so bleak in a way. And the element of environmental destruction and displacement of the humans who were obviously there before the mining, just I built it off of that. And
Okay. I
I
wondered.
hope I hope that answers the question.
It does answer the question because it is. I like what you say about it's angry and wild, and it just kind of goes out and it can just do blatant destroying. But if you look at it in the other reverse, what the miners did to the land, the environmental destruction, that makes a lot of sense. It does. It makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense.
Yeah,
Um,
it really the one image that I saw that gave me the idea to make it so angry is I saw this like trough of like it's like a runoff ditch and it was this greenish color because like silver is you have to like do something you have to process it when you take it out of the ground, but this
right.
mine it just looked like it was covered with tarnish. It was so bizarre. And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's not natural." Like that was like these mines were I can't think of exactly how long ago, like probably about 100 years ago, and the land is still wrecked from that.
Right. Right. So it creates this otherworldly environment. It's an surreal environment. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Um, I wanted to talk now about Warden Gabriel Velasquez is our main person in the story, and he's on a mission of vengeance, which requires the Black Rose for him to complete. However, he is not well. So, what is he taking the antidote for? Explain what's going on there.
So he's been infected with the silver. If it touches you and gets into your blood, it will start turning you into something else. And he's seen people when we meet him in the beginning of the book, he has seen people who have not treated it and have supposedly gone very feral. I hesitate to use the word like zombie, but that's the only word I can think of that he interprets it as you lose yourself, you become part of
Hmm.
this wild vengeful thing. He's already a vengeful thing. Come on. But he's using this antidote to treat the silver and I got the idea for how that works from actual silver. Like silver was used as a medicine and I think it still is in some cases. And
Yeah.
I wish I had printed that out and like had it with me, but there was some medicine that people would take. Um, and one of the details that stuck out to me was that they would lose their sense of taste.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And now, like, this is 3 years after the fact, I can't remember how those things linked together, but that's what I ran with for the book.
Right, right. So he's on borrowed time, so to speak. Uh,
Yeah.
Now, when I first talked with you at Baycon, and you were telling me about the story, and you said you had the actual guns mentioned in the story, which we've seen, and you pictured them on the book cover. So, how did the how where did the other guns come into the story? Because you've got tell me what how many guns Gabriel is carrying around.
He has Malice, the double-barreled shotgun, and
Which
then he
is
has
behind, is that but what's behind you there, or a semblance of it? Yeah.
no, this is a Moss on Nagant. So this is
Okay.
Like a Russian carbine.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
this is for a different project, but
Different project. Okay. Okay. And
so
Go ahead.
I wish I had the sawed-off double barrel shotgun, but that
Mm.
is wildly illegal. So I don't
Oh, right. You're right. Right.
I wish. But yeah, so he has Malice. She's a double barrel shotgun, and in the story, she has come into contact with Wyatt Earp in her past, and she can show Gabriel images from that memory. Um,
Which is
I got
really
the
interesting.
I
Yeah,
got the
that's
idea from those little toys that I had when I was a kid. It's like you look through it and you click through images. I don't remember what those were called,
oh
but
yeah, that I can't either, but I know what you're talking about.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like I thought that that would be really cool if the gun could show him things like that. So he has
Yeah.
Malice, and then Spite, Sin, and Grudge are all Smith and Wessons, and they're all the same model. And I picked them because they're very I mean, to me, I don't know if they were that unique in the time, but you slide, there's like a slide on the top and they break open. I think they're sometimes called lemon squeezers because the whole thing, instead of the cylinder popping out, it like
Mm,
opens forward. It was just very, I just thought it was really interesting, and I wanted to give him something a little different so we're not just seeing Colt 45s everywhere.
right, right. And we were talking earlier before I hit record about your parents being a shooter, sharpshooters or sports people. So
Yeah. So my mom was a competitive marksman when she was in college over at De Anza College in Cupertino. They had a pistol team, and she was very, very good. And I don't want to talk too much about this because people could look her up, but she's
okay, okay. Well, we'll okay. So yeah, so you've been around it, and your dad's been talking with you about the story for years. So
yeah,
it all sort of gelled into this perfect moment for you to write the story at this point in time. Uh,
yeah.
one of the really really interesting things I thought about what you did with the story is as the story unfolds, you build empathy for the machines. Um, how did that come about? Did you plan it or did it unfold as you wrote the story?
That was definitely a core element from the beginning. I am
Uh-huh.
very empathetic to my machines, and I know I've had several conversations with friends and family about if we actually, in our world today, if we were actually to create artificial intelligence, not like generative AI, but like if we actually could create true artificial intelligence, we would probably be very cruel to it. And that I kind of just, I mean, I like to believe that we would not be cruel. Like I like to
Yeah,
believe that we would have empathy, but I fear we wouldn't. We have,
right.
yeah, and that kind of bleeds over into larger conversations about how do
Exactly.
we have empathy with our fellow humans, and like where do we have deficits in that empathy, and
Right,
it's
right.
kind of a sad element of the story
Right.
and
But
real life.
yeah, but it makes perfect sense within the context of your story. And I can't I would just wanted to say before I forget is there's a point where there's a particular piece of I will say equipment that has to be put down literally or has to go away. And I was like mourning for this. By the time we got to that point of the story, I was actually mourning for them. It's like you brought the emotions to the story and made me feel about an inanimate object. And so that was really powerful, I think, piece of the story. Uh, there's also, speaking of equipment, there's a rogue train that's out running around in the desert. Another wild, crazy, angry piece of equipment. And I wanted to say that the image that came to me when I was reading about it was it reminded me of the old cowboy story, Ghost Riders in the Sky, where these angry, they're coming across in clouds and rolling thunder. And I kind of imagined the train doing that. So how did you come up with that idea?
Well, I love that you thought of that song because that was a huge inspiration point for me.
Okay.
But I actually saw an image that got me started on the demon train. If you Google a steam engine that has exploded, it is like they overheat, they can explode, and
Okay.
there's this image floating around that is just so, it's a real photo, but it's so cosmic horror. There's like these pipes sticking out, like
Okay.
antennas or tentacles. It just looks so unreal. Um, and I don't think I can like share the screen or show it, but it's just like I saw that image and was like, yes, yes. And also just like I worked at a place that was I was a event and wedding manager, but there it was a train, like a tourist train station. And I'd watch the trains move around and some of the larger engines with all the cars, they reminded me of millipedes or centipedes, which we have a lot of. And
Hmm.
then I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. We can just
That may,
combine those into
yeah.
one
Yeah.
entity.
Yeah. It was, I mean, it's very, I think one of your comments on your webpage from one of your readers that your writing is very visceral. So it's very, it's really nitty gritty and down to the details of what's happening. So it really shows the things as they are and as they're broken up, or so you get to really feel it's almost textual, reading the story, I could see it and feel it.
I
So
appreciate
yeah,
that.
that was really, really great. I am going to share your information so people know how to find you
Thank
and
you.
see your information. Hopefully this works. Okay, there you are.
Yay.
And oh, I see we're covering up the other. Well, let's see. Anyway, so tell us about your other book since we're on the screen and we can see the Black Rose and your other title.
Yeah,
Let
so
me do this so that we can see the other book cover. So tell us a little bit about that because you don't just write Wierd West.
no, the Wierd West was almost a fluke. And I mean, I wrote it as a gift. And when I had first finished it, I said, I'm probably never going to write another Western. And now I am absolutely sure I will write another Western
Yeah.
because I think when the story comes together in my head and I know what it's really about, I have been asked so many times. There's a specific character in the story that people want to know more about or see potentially a backstory for, and I won't give away which character,
Okay.
but
Okay. Well,
it's
that makes me really intrigued having read it. So yeah. And
so the other book, I don't know if they can only see the screen or just me, but the Moss on the Gaunt behind me is like the weapons used in
okay.
the Ice Moves for Noah. That's why I have the old clunker gun behind me.
Yeah, we can see you. We can see you pointing to it. So that's good to know that it's connected to another story. So okay. And so
Yeah, just
you're what are you currently working on?
I am working on the second book that comes after The Ice Moves for No One. I'm actually working on book two and three simultaneously, and I was definitely working on book two while working on book one. But that
Okay.
is very different setting. Um, Imagine 1920s to 1930s fantasy world, not our world, so secondary setting, Selkies, so people who turn into seals, Holdra, which are from Nordic mythology,
Hmm.
magical airships. Um, but there's definitely, as we move into the second book, especially the theme of machines and sentience and objects having some kind of life essence or soul, like that is definitely in that series too. So like I think that's the one similar touchstone between the two is
Great.
I
Oh,
really into like machines having life. No, it's not nearly as intense as in Black Rose, but
okay. Okay. Hmm. Okay, well, that will be the next book that I pick up.
oh, thank you.
So,
I'm really proud
if
of it.
you should be proud of, you should be very, very proud of Black Rose. I mean, one of my favorite series ever written by any author is the Silver on the Road by Laura Ann Gilman, and
Ooh,
you are in that ballpark. So,
oh my goodness.
you're in good company, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of that on your webpage. One of the quotes you have, one of your readers says, I have to blank this because we can't swear on here. It says, blank you for making me like a Western. And I had to laugh at that because I want to encourage people to take a chance on this, even if you think, well, Western stuff. This is like so beyond that, all the components. So I want to encourage people to take a chance on that. Um, we are about out of time. Oh, I can people, when they go to your webpage, is there a place where they can sign up for a newsletter or to contact you?
Yes, yes. So
Okay,
if you just scroll down to the bottom of the home page, there's a little area to sign up for the newsletter. I only send out newsletters when there's news.
great.
I don't send them out very often. Threads is the most likely place to bump into me. Like I am all over Threads all the
Okay.
time. That's my
Okay.
place.
Okay, good. Okay, so people can contact. I will put the information down below the video here when I post it, so you can click easily onto her webpage and go there.
Thank you.
Before we sign off, is there anything you would want to say or you'd like to share with us?
I just like to shout out both of my presses. They're so good. Black Rose is from Graveside Press. They're an indie horror press. They're awesome. They're putting out really cool stuff. You should check out their other titles. And The Ice Moves for No One, book one in the Duskinger saga, is from Quills and Cosmos. They are also amazing. They publish exclusively sci-fi and fantasy from women, people of color, the LGBTQ, like, oh my God, read acronyms, the queer community, and
Yes.
other minorities. And their second title will be coming out in September, I believe. And I've read it. I read an arc, and it's so good. So
Okay.
please check these people out. Give them a follow. They work so hard, and they're putting out really cool stories.
Excellent. That's so good. And indie, small press indie publishers are so important to underrepresented communities. And so thank you for sharing that with us because we're getting the voices out there that, of course, mainstream media is not going to pick up. So that's very, very good to hear. I'm so glad I got to talk with you because this story impacted me so much. And to get into the nitty gritty of it, I'm really looking forward to seeing more from you, Arlo. Thank you for coming and talking with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been such an honor.
Yeah, and I hope we can connect again. Maybe I'll see you at Baycon if you happen to be there next year.
Oh, I will be.
Excellent. Well, we'll definitely connect, and maybe we can have a coffee, and I can talk more with you about your additional work. Thanks
I would love
again.
that.
All right,
Thank
take
you.
care. Bye.
Bye.